Hi, Jeff Boyd. Where are you from and how long have you lived in Orange Beach?
Well, thank you for doing this, first of all, and taking the time to do what you've done. I think it's awesome. Um, Grew up in New Orleans, graduated school in Mississippi College, as did my wife, where I met her, a beautiful wife. We've been here since '03, so 22 years.
All right. And what position are you running for?
I'm running for mayor of Orange Beach.
All right. For city vision and priorities, what are your top 3 priorities if elected, and how do you plan to accomplish them?
I'll put them in a row. Fiscal responsibility, traffic, and our school system. Absolutely, when I say fiscal responsibility, a lot of people don't know, but we spent 10 years of my tenure doing every single thing in our power to get out of debt. And we accomplished it with an incredible bond rating that allowed us to be in a position we were when we did purchase the schools. And so I'm always focused on being ready for a hurricane or an oil spill or what we don't know is coming like COVID, and being prepared for that with our employees and our city. So long-term wise, balancing to make our school the best we can make it, and our city the best we can, but also making sure that we're being wise with our money. Second would be the school system. I'm so proud of our school system. I'm proud of our teachers and our employees and our school board that volunteers to do what they do. I think they're doing an incredible job. And I want to ensure that we stick to our commitment of athletics, academics, and arts. And we made a commitment early on that we would balance across those 3. I want to continue that balance. I want to make sure that we're giving everything we can to academics and our teachers, including their salaries, to get them as far in advance as we can be to be one of the best schools in the South. And then traffic. Traffic's going to be an issue. Thank God we're not in Atlanta or Birmingham. I mean, it can be worse. The worst we have is a concert day or a rain day, and it's squeezed in. But if people remember, it wasn't that long ago. We didn't have 2 turn lanes on 161, and traffic would back up all the way to Beach Highway and down Beach Highway all the way to the Pass Bridge. We flow now. We're moving. But it created more issues. You can't hardly turn into Cactus Cantina. You can't get out of Ace Hardware. We did just put runners up along the median coming out of Cypress Village so that we don't have so many illegal turns there. You've got to turn and go to the light or go through to get however you can. We're getting a light at Cumberland, but there will always be, my vision for traffic has always been across Island Parkway. I've been on it since the 13 years I've been here. It's going to take a new governor and the participation of the Alabama Resource Division to participate with it. I think we can do it, and I think we will get there eventually, and I'm never going to give up. I also think the bypass has to be done. It was part of the bridge deal, and it's time to get out to step up to the plate and finish what they're committed to.
All right. And what is your long-term vision? You touched on it a little bit, but what is your long-term vision for our city over the next 5 to 10 years?
When we moved here, we wrote our goals that we wanted to live where we could vacation. And I believe most people that move here have the same thought. They get here and they go, it's so wonderful. I want to be here. We live in an incredible place. It is still incredible in spite of all the stuff that gets thrown in an election of what's not good or is good. People come here because we're incredible. I plan and want to keep the small fishing village attitude and a protected neighborhood as much as we possibly can by law, to keep it that way so your kids and my kids want to stay here and our grandkids want to move back here. I want it to remain as close to what we have moving forward as possible.
All right. And that kind of flows into, how will you balance growth and development?
Growth and development is more of a legal issue than anything. The current council we have downzoned everything we can on the beach. I personally have been the largest fighter for saying, if you're a developer, there's no more 5-foot setbacks. You have to build the same way I build. I'm tired of you piling them in and saying, because of green space, we want to squeeze them all in and put more than you should. And I've been fighting it for years, to the point saying, don't even bring us those projects. We have turned down many a project that people don't see. And the whole battle is, if you're a developer and you own land, you do have a right to build on it. Oftentimes that right is a worse choice than what we approve in a PUD, because they could have built more and it would have been more density. People want to build here because it's profitable. So economic supply and demand are balancing that always. Our job is to squeeze down and go, by law, what can we push it to the minimum amount? And I will continue to do that. And by law, if we could change ordinances, I will change them to even squeeze them down more. And we've been looking at that, and that's part of our moratorium.
Okay. For budget and taxes, how do you plan to handle the city budget and prioritize spending?
So for 10 years, we did everything we could to get out of debt. And our priority then was always being prepared for anything that was to come. I will continue budgeting that we never spend more than about 80% of our budget. We're always trying to look at that and stay in line with where our forecasting is to make sure that we stay within that, so we always have a surplus in a rainy day. And I have fought the taxes, and I will continue to. I do not foresee or do not want to increase or raise taxes on anyone.
Okay. And that kind of segues into the next one, actually. Do you support raising, lowering, or keeping taxes the same, and why?
If there's any way possible, I would love to see federally and state funding come for our school. Right now we get zero. If there's a way we can pull off what I've been working on and others have been working on to get funding for our school system, I would be in favor of removing the lodging tax 1% at a time, that we increased. I would much rather see us start taking it off and give the people that own condos some relief from it if we get that funding from somewhere else.
And what specific services or programs would you protect from budget cuts, even during a downturn?
Well, I think your basic services have to be, one of the reasons we live here are safety and the beach. Mm-hmm. So I would never back off of safety, meaning fire, police, ambulance. And then you also have to go to trash pickup and cleanliness, because that cleanliness is what protects us and keeps us the way that we are. So our basic services with the city, and then you would have to go to education, and that you would not cut back on it, whether it be for all of our students, including our special needs, that you've got to keep that intact and keep it moving forward.
For housing and development, how do you plan to involve the community in decisions about new developments and zoning changes?
One of my goals that I want to do as mayor is have a mastermind group of people from the community that have not been involved before, that once a month they come together and is all we focus on. What are the top priorities of the city? Start with 10, squeeze it to 5, squeeze it to 3, and say, those are the 3 we will work on, and communicate that out into the community of here's what where our focus is, and we need everyone participating in those decisions. But look, in this neighborhood, in the street where you are, I started because of the next door neighbor renting weekly to spring breakers, and me carrying my daughter down the street and seeing some stuff I didn't want to see. I pushed a resolution for us to say no weekly rentals in our neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer. You protect your neighborhoods, your churches, and your school. You protect your city and the core of your neighbors. And my goal always will be to protect our neighborhoods while we balance good stewardship of our beaches.
Mm-hmm. For education and youth, how do you support your city schools and ensure all children, including those with special needs and disabilities, have access to quality education?
100% will support the school system. As I've said, I want to be the best in the South. I have a Down syndrome grandchild that will be coming and attending school here. I will be in support of all of our special needs and our kids that have it, as well as the best of education we can have, that we're starting to pop into 25s and 30s on our ACT scores.
Yeah. And what role should the city play in supporting youth programs and after-school opportunities?
We have always supported them. Expect excellence. We spend millions on a year. That is incredible. That gives us the school system we have. Our athletics we have done. Our sports association. I have 17 aprons back there where I've cooked for our sports for year after year after year, providing and making sure that we have athletics. I think is a vital role, and I'll continue.
Okay. Transportation and infrastructure. What is your plan to improve roads and pedestrian safety?
Well, pedestrian safety is always going to be an issue, especially with golf carts. And now that we have all these scooters that are going 30 miles an hour, a lot of that comes down to parents and what they allow. But as a city, if we get a complaint, we have to address it. We are trying to widen every path in the city from one end to the other to make it more user-friendly for everybody in all modalities. And we will continue to do that. And we'll continue to work on infrastructure with AlDOT at every level.
All right. And that also kind of leads into our next one. How will you ensure equitable infrastructure investment across all neighborhoods?
That is a tough question, because everybody says we need housing, we need this, but yet they say we don't want housing, we don't want this. It's a supply and demand economics. A developer is not going to build unless it's the most profitable thing that he can get, and that it's going to bring him the most return on his investment. So a lot of times that is just driven by what a developer wants to build. We can't force that. If there's a chance that we have it, I was in a gumbo meeting this morning with Orange Beach Foley Gulf Shores teaming up. Foley just got one of the largest grants for housing for workers. We were the first one to get it. Been working on a task force for years behind the scenes with this. So it is a high priority. We know that we need workers at all of our restaurants, and it needs to be equitable, and we're working on it where we can behind the scenes.
Great. And for transparency and community involvement, how will you ensure transparency and accountability in city government?
Well, I believe in transparency. It's one of the reasons I'm running. I want more people involved in committees that are part of the input of where we're driving as a city. This is not Jeff Boyd running a city as a mayor as a dictator. This is Jeff Boyd saying what our citizens want and where we are and what our priorities as a community are is where we need to go, not where Jeff Boyd wants to go.
And how do you plan to keep residents informed and involved in local decision making?
I believe we can do a much better job with our Facebook and with people that are involved in these groups that we're going to bring together, and bringing that information back out to the community. I want as much community involvement as possible with police, with fire, with our beaches, with our turtles, with our infrastructure, and with our ordinances. The more people are involved in driving that, the better we are as a community.
And for equity and inclusion, how do you plan to make the city more inclusive, accessible for more people with disabilities, seniors, and often overlooked groups?
Well, that's a good point, and I'll give you a really good example. That would be someone in a wheelchair that wants to go to the beach. We have worked greatly to get pads out to the beach. It was a big task because Wildlife and Fisheries doesn't want you leaving them there. It's hard to roll them up every night and have the labor, but we have accomplished it. Phoenix 7 has done it. We have done it, and we will continue to try to maintain as much accessibility for anyone and everyone at every level in the city.
Okay. All right, last three. Candidate accountability. Who do you see yourself accountable to?
The people of Orange Beach. First of all, God, my family, and then the people of Orange Beach, in that order.
Yeah. And have you ever changed your position on a major issue? Why and what did you learn?
Yes, I have. Because of my fiscal responsibility, in 10 years of getting out of debt, I was a major fighter against the $47 million sports complex. And the reason is because I felt that money needed to be balanced across the city. First of all, we needed a fire station. We need a new judicial police station for judges and our courts. Our police station needed to be redone. And I just saw a lot of needs across the city. And I went, we've just spent all this money in the school. We just built a performing arts center. I wasn't against it. I just was trying to balance the money differently. But I changed my mind. I went with it and I agreed to it because I saw the need and I saw the vision. We had bonds at 1.9% interest, and it made sense into the future that we had to do this.
Yeah. And last one, what sets you apart from the other candidates running?
Well, one other candidate, he's been there 17 years. I'm grateful for where we are as a city. I'm humbled to have been part of 13 years of it. It didn't happen alone. There was a team working behind the scenes that made all of these things occur, and I will continue to do that. The difference is I believe in working together with everyone. I don't believe that everything has to be a fight. I believe there's a time and a place for a fight. I was a boxer. I had to be very specific in the ring of my mental awareness of what was going on. I always would taunt my people for 2 rounds and then win in the 3rd round. I didn't go out in the 1st round just thinking it's a bar fight. I'm going to beat whoever I can. And I just specifically think that you have to work with people. It has to be a long-term goal. It has to be an effort with other cities. You still have to fight and hold your position, but it doesn't mean every single room, everywhere we go, has to be a pounding fight. I think you've got to work with people.
All right. And thank you so much, Jeff Boyd, for your time.
You're welcome.